Welcome to the Price Academy, bite-sized history videos. This video is introducing Patty Cannon and the Reverse Underground Railroad. Throughout early 1800s, Delaware and Maryland, Patty Cannon and her murderous gang kidnapped as many as 3,000 Black Americans to sell into bondage in the South. Who was Patty Cannon? Little is known of Cannon's early life. Records indicate that Cannon was born either Martha or Lucretia Patricia Hanley around 1760, perhaps in Canada, and moving to Delaware aged 16. She married local farmer Jesse Cannon. They had 2 children and lived near the present-day town of Reliance, Maryland, close to the border of Delaware. Jesse Cannon died of a mysterious circumstance. Rumour had it Patty poisoned him to death. Cannon reportedly worked as a barmaid and later as a prostitute and wanted to open her own brothel. As she had an unpleasant demeanour, she was unsuccessful in this endeavour, and by the age of 24 she opened a tavern instead. Later this would be the centre of her criminal activities. Cannon's daughter married a man named Henry Brereton, who introduced the Cannon family to a new type of crime. Brereton was a blacksmith who engaged in the illegal slave trade. In 1811, Brereton was arrested and began serving a prison sentence for kidnapping slaves, but he escaped the jail in Georgetown, Delaware. After his escape, Cannon and Brereton and an accomplice called Griffith conspired to ambush a patron of Patty's bar called Ridgewell. He was ambushed by Cannon and her cohorts and died from a gunshot wound in the fight. Joseph Griffith and Brereton were hanged for the murder on April 13, 1813. Cannon's daughter remarried to a man called Joe Johnson, who would become Patty's number 1 accomplice. With Joe Johnson, Cannon's gang continued its activities for several years. When slavery was legal, the illegal slave trade was a booming part of the criminal underworld in the United States. Now known as the Reverse Underground Railroad, it involved the kidnapping of freed slaves, freed African Americans, and the escaped slaves in free border states. Men, women and children were all kidnapped as part of the trade. They were then transported to southern slave holding states and sold to plantation owners and at slave auctions. Cities like New York, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Louisville were hotspots for kidnappers from 1780 to 1865, as they were close to rivers. Famously, Solomon Northup, as seen in 12 Years a Slave, was kidnapped in the Reverse Underground Railroad. Maryland and Delaware regions, as well as Pennsylvania, all had large populations of free African Americans and former slaves. Patty and her gang took advantage of this population boom and began their kidnapping ring. Slaves could be sold for up to $200 to $300, which is several thousand today. In 1808, the US Congress banned the importation of slaves, which ultimately led to the underground slave trade. In 1822, certain members of the Cannon gang were finally caught and tried. Joe Johnson was given a punishment of 39 lashes at the pillory. Johnson and his brother Ebenezer fled afterwards. In 1829, a farmer working Cannon's farmland discovered a blue chest filled with human bones. Then Cyrus James, a mixed-race slave who was used by Patty as a decoy to lure slaves into being kidnapped, was caught and questioned. His testimony landed Patty in jail, and he took authorities to her property where they found remains of 3 children. Patty was arrested in April 1829 and convicted of 4 counts of murder. She committed suicide on May 11, 1829 by poison. She was believed to be 70 years old. Her skull is supposed to be in the Smithsonian Institute as seen here. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to like and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me at Twitter at LittleMissHistory81, at TanyaAlex38, or at facebook.com/TanyaAlex38.